Back in the day, the American dream was to graduate from school, find a stable and good paying job, work there for 40 years, and then move to the sunny state of Florida to retire in your 60s to enjoy the fruits of your labor by living off of your Social Security and pensions in a thriving retirement community. Fast forward several decades to the present day, where many millennials are rethinking and redefining what it means to retire and how long it takes to retire by what's known as the FIRE movement. And in this video, we're gonna go over what the FIRE movement is and how to achieve it. Coming up. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Journey of Finance, where personal finance is made simple. My name is Cedric, and here on this channel we talk about all things personal finance and how you can manage your money and invest your way into retirement. I upload new videos every week on this channel to help you level up on your finances. So if you're down to go on this journey, then do me a big favor and subscribe to this channel, click on that notification bell so you're notified of every new video, and smash that like button down below. It lets me know that you're enjoying this content, and it will really help out this channel and this community to grow. What is FIRE? So let's talk about what FIRE is. FIRE is an acronym that stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Though the acronym FIRE has become sort of a buzzword in the recent decade, the concept behind it has always been around. So the overall concept behind FIRE is for one to become financially independent, meaning their expenses are managed, they have no consumer debts, and they have built up a solid financial nest egg that they can live off of, therefore allowing them to be able to retire from their 9 to 5 earlier than the normal or average retirement age. For some, it's an escape from the status quo of working a job that they hate, wasting the best years of their life working for someone else. And for others, it's a golden ticket to living out the rest of their life doing what they want when they want. Now, there are different ways to attain FIRE, but generally the movement advocates an aggressive saving and investing strategy that will supercharge growth and expedite wealth accumulation. Some proponents even aim to save 80% of their income, choosing to live frugally off of the 20% until they achieve their goal. The truth is, the general concept of FIRE is the same for anyone who is pursuing it, but what the process looks like and the end goal for everyone is highly subjective and varies from person to person. Now, we'll get into that in a bit. Where did the FIRE movement start? Like I mentioned earlier, the idea behind being financially independent and retiring early has been around for a long time. There have been many people who have built up their nest egg and were able to retire earlier than the average retirement age. But this was generally more of a thing for those who were wealthier, higher income earners, and those that have accumulated enough assets to live off of. But the inspiration behind FIRE as we know it today can be traced back to the 1992 best-selling book by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez called Your Money, Your Life. And the idea behind this book was that you could combine a lifestyle of simple living and living off of your investments. There was also another book that came out in 2010 called Early Retirement Extreme by Jacob Lund Fisker, which describes a relationship between savings rate and the time to retirement, which helps people project their retirement date and how much they would need to save. With the help of the internet, online bloggers like Mr. Money Mustache and Financial Samurai advocated the concept of FIRE, and he began to spread, especially amongst millennials. So how does FIRE actually work? If you think that the idea of retiring in your 50s, 40s, and even 30s is complicated, it's actually not, or at least it doesn't have to be. For most situations. With the proper planning, it can be attainable. The most simple way to understand how to FIRE is to determine the age that you want to retire. You'll also want to determine how much you'll need to live off of in your retirement. This is generally done through your stock market investments, such as your 401k, traditional or Roth IRAs, and other investments like low-cost index funds. Once you reach your targeted retirement age, then you can take withdrawals from your investment vehicles each year. The idea behind this strategy is that you would have grown your retirement pool of money large enough to where the amount that you withdraw to live off of is lower than the amount of investment gains your portfolio receives annually. So in theory, you will never run out of money in retirement. Chances are your portfolio will actually continue to grow as well. A general withdrawal amount at retirement that is statistically believed to be able to fund your retirement without running out of money is 4% of your entire portfolio value. Now, this figure is based off of a study that came out of Trinity University in 1998, where 3 finance professors authors Cooley, Hubbard, and Walls looked at testing different withdrawal rates and how sustainable they would be for the average retirement based off of historical data. In this study, it was concluded that for a retirement period of 30 years, based on the past performance of the stock market from 1926 to 1995, that a portfolio that consisted mostly of stocks could successfully sustain an inflation-adjusted withdrawal rate of 4% annually, with at least a 95% success rate. That meant that 95 out of 100 stock portfolios that were tested would not have run out of money within a 30-year period. So the idea behind the 4% withdrawal rate is so that you'll be able to withdraw an amount that takes into account for inflation, protect your principal, and it is likely that your portfolio value would even continue to grow. If you want to take a more conservative approach to your withdrawal strategy, then you can aim to withdraw 3.5% to give your portfolio some more buffer room. How to calculate what you need for retirement. So now that you have an idea of a recommended withdrawal rate at retirement that protects you from inflation and is statistically likely to sustain you through at least 30 years, how in the world do you actually figure out how much you need in total in your portfolio? This is where you have to take into account your own personal situation, your standard of living, and how you want to retire. For the sake of keeping things super simple for this video, we'll use simplified examples so that you can get an idea, because in reality, there are so many nuances and things to consider, which I'll mention in a bit. But let's say that you are planning for a 4% withdrawal rate. Then you simply determine how much you need annually to live. For the sake of simplicity, let's say you determine that you want to live off of $50,000 a year, which will cover all of your living expenses for your standard of living. Multiply $50,000 by 25 and that'll give you a total of $1,250,000. That means 4% of $1,250,000 will equal $50,000. That's it. Sounds simple, right? It is, but there is a caveat. Remember that you have to pay taxes on your investments when you withdraw. And if you plan on retiring early, you'll likely be withdrawing from your taxable investments, like your stocks and index funds, not from your tax-free Roth assets. Also, you won't have access to your 401k or traditional IRA until the age of 59 and a half without a penalty. So keep your taxes in mind when you're planning your withdrawal strategy and amount. Again, it's super important to mention that this is a high-level example of how to calculate your FIRE number. When you actually sit down to plan out your strategy, you'll have to consider many things, like you'll have a longer period of retirement than the average. Will you have a frugal standard of living or not? How will you cover your medical expenses? Are you gonna have kids? Do you wanna leave a legacy behind? What are you gonna do in retirement? Will you golf all day, every day? Will you start a business? Will you travel? That's why when you get serious about planning your FIRE strategy, you wanna begin thinking about all of these variables that are specific to your situation. A good example of this is one of the leading online voices on the FIRE movement, the Financial Samurai. He managed to retire early in the early 2010s and documented his process through his popular online blog. He stayed happily retired as he managed to build up a comfortable nest egg to live off of. But about 8 years into early retirement and 2 kids and 1 pandemic later, he publicly stated that he was planning to go back into the workforce and apply for jobs to supplement his retirement. It wasn't that he ran out of money, because he still had a good amount of retirement income coming in, but he realized early on that he didn't anticipate the rise in his cost of living after having a family. Also, the pandemic didn't help his portfolio. All that to say that even the best of planners can't predict the future, and it's challenging to plan out 50 years worth of retirement when you just don't know what will pop up. How do you accomplish FIRE? There are many different ways to accomplish FIRE, and it's gonna depend on the individual's preferred method, income level, cost of living, and accumulation methods. But generally speaking, FIRE is accomplished by committing to a higher savings rate in order to save more faster. And the more you save, the more your investments grow and compound. Some people are able to accomplish this by living in a frugal manner and saving every penny outside of their expenses for a period of time to accomplish that goal. They might go to great lengths to cut costs, from downsizing their living situations to delaying any sort of big expense like vacations or buying a home. Others are able to accomplish this by saving 50, 60, or 70% of their high income while living modestly. They may not have to live in frugality, but they are intentional with saving most of their income. In terms of strategies and investments one can use to accomplish FIRE, I'll be happy to make a separate video going over different options to achieve these, but generally speaking, it's recommended to max out your work retirement accounts first, like your 401k, since many employers offer a match up to 100%. Next, you want to max out your annual traditional or Roth IRA contributions. Then you may want to invest heavily into different low-cost index funds from your brokerage account. account. That way you have different investment buckets that you are filling up for your retirement, and it will allow you to plan for tax-efficient withdrawal strategies at the time of retirement. So what are my overall thoughts on FIRE? I think there are pros and cons. I like the FIRE movement overall because it's awakened a realization for many millennials that they have the ability to determine their financial destination. It also brings attention to the importance of actively saving and investing for retirement. I love seeing people from different walks of life working towards achieving a goal that supports financial independence. But there are some things to consider when it comes to FIRE. Determining your FIRE number to last you 40 or even 50 years is really difficult because we don't know what the future is going to hold. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but I'm just saying that it might be wise to build in a little more of a buffer in your FIRE number to allow room for anything that might pop up unexpectedly in the next 20 or 30 years. Instead of going for a 4% withdrawal rate, aim to have the same withdrawal amount at 3.5%, which means you need to have a bigger FIRE number. There's also other considerations like taxes, withdrawal strategies, and much more that I'll definitely cover in future videos. But I think the more you plan, the better off you'll be in early retirement. So yeah, overall, I'm down with the FIRE, if planned carefully. I hope that you got some valuable insight on the FIRE movement, what FIRE is, and some ideas on how to achieve it. I realize that this conversation around FIRE is very nuanced and there's so much to cover, so rest assured, I'll be making more videos on how to FIRE, and maybe, just maybe, I'll do a video on how I plan to FIRE. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on FIRE down in the comments below. Are you down with it or are you against it? Why or why not? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And before you go, if you received any value out of this video, then make sure you hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, share this video with anyone that you know that would benefit from a little FIRE knowledge. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell as I have personal finance videos coming every week. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.